These true start locations in Civ 6 have always really interested me, especially with these bigger maps, because there's just so much room that you can grow and expand into before you even need to worry about conflict with another Civ. But for some Civs that start closer to each other, like Portugal and Spain, you may want to go to war early, and that allows you to become the regional hegemon, and you don't have to worry about anything for like hundreds of turns. We're gonna go over 800 turns using this huge Europe map from the Steam Workshop, and I'll tell you this much, I was quite surprised by the final outcome. If you're excited to see more Civ content on the channel, make sure you let me know by leaving a like on the video. And if you want early access to everything that comes out on the channel, make sure you check out the join button below the video, or support me on my Patreon, linked in the description. Dido is going to be set up over here in Tunisia because I guess Phoenicians are Carthage. She is not over here, which means there's going to be a lot more room for Samaria and or Persia and or the Ottomans to fill out the lands over here. Should be a little bit crowded in this area here between the 4 Greek/Macedonian nations. So this is definitely going to be an interesting spot. And we have multiple versions of England because we need a little bit of action over here on the British Isles. Though I do think Dido may be the Civ to keep an eye on, because all of this land over here and all of the beautiful resources are all up for grabs for them, with very little competition because there's not even anybody nearby to take in the land. Same with Rome. There's a whole lot of land to the north and to the south, as well as some of these islands that nobody can contest. And Matthias over in Hungary has a ton of defensive positions that he can take up, so definitely going to keep an eye on him. Of course, you can't forget about Russia, where you can zoom all the way out and there is not a single Civ in the area. There are barbarians though, and I think barbarians may be a problem for them. Deity difficulty is pretty nuts. We have a lot of Civs with 3 cities already, and we are only on turn 12. So a lot of action to be going on. I am very certain of that. And I should also mention that I have disasters cranked all the way up, like as high as it'll go. And here on the Isle of Britain, we have our first tag elimination at the hands of another nation. We have the Civ of England getting eaten up by the Civ of England. But the reason why I say it's the first Civ getting destroyed by another Civ is because we have a Civ, but it was destroyed by loyalty. The Ottoman cities are both free cities now, and they're ripe for the picking for Constantinople just across the straits here. Meanwhile, over in Georgia, anybody who's familiar with this region in Civ TSL understands the significance of this right here. There's going to be a lot of volcanic eruptions in this area. In Georgia, but also over in Italy, you can't forget about Vesuvius, right? It basically destroyed an entire city. Not basically, it did destroy an entire city in Rome. So yeah, this is definitely going to be an issue for people. Though maybe we don't need to worry for Georgia. We need to maybe worry about Georgia, because they're pushing into Persia right now, and that's pretty scary. If they can become the dominant power over here in this area, there is a lot of Plains Hills tiles that they will be able to take advantage of. In fact, whoever makes it out of this area is probably going to be one of the most dominant Civs in the world. And as expected, the Byzantines have crossed over the Bosphorus and have taken the 2 former Ottoman cities of Sofia and whatever the heck this name is. And over in France, we have France pushing in to Germany a little bit here, the lowlands or Gaul or whatever this area is called. Now, we do not have Wilhelmina, and that's actually just an issue with like the placement. I think I had the wrong tag selected and it got rid of her. So I don't know. I wanted to have her in here, but it took like 4 tries and I still couldn't get it to work. So hopefully I will be able to get those to work a little bit better in future iterations of this run. And while we're here, we might as well take a look at Germany, who's actually not doing that well because Gaul has taken Bremen, and the Polish from whatever the heck this is are pushing in, and it doesn't look like Germany is actually gonna do very well. They hardly have an army, and they've only got 3 cities with very little defense. We do have war going on over here between the Spanish and the Portuguese, and right now it's all just a bunch of low-level warriors, so maybe not a whole lot of stuff to expect in terms of changes, but there's definitely war going on. So maybe we'll see some border changes between these guys pretty soon. Meanwhile, Dido continues to expand and also continues to explore, pushing up, and they have definitely made contact with Rome. Now, let's just see how that goes with them, because obviously Rome and Carthage / Phoenicia don't have a very good history. And Trajan better be happy that he is not down here yet, because these would be pretty devastating. I have a disasters turned all the way up, like I said. So their cities are going to get really hurt if they settle near these volcanoes down here. And Alexander has fallen to none other than the Byzantines, who are very quickly expanding and are very much out in front in terms of basically every statistic that they could be. All of my Byzantine brethren can sleep well knowing that Constantinople stands tall. And at least one of the Greases is still doing okay. You can see she's actually pushed up into the north, just settled a new city. But yeah, Pericles is dead. Athens fell again to loyalty. So that is the second time we've seen a tag get eliminated just from that. Tag, Civ, you know what I mean. I haven't really talked about it much because there's not really much going on up in the north, but Sweden has got their kind of kernel over here, and it looks like Norway is just kind of playing wide and looking to cut off Sweden up here in the north. So Sweden is either going to have to move down south and deal with the barbarians that have taken up Denmark, or push over into Finland where it's a little nicer, but maybe not as much land to expand into in terms of enemies. On the British Isles, we have England pushing north, taking Dumfries from Scotland, and not looking good. And oh my god, France is getting overrun by barbarians. It looks like they may actually lose a city or two because they even have catapults, dude. Multiple catapults. And just look at this, battering rams and everything. France is getting absolutely dogpiled by these barbarians. Droughts and whatnot happening over in Persia, but Georgia continues to grow, taking yet another city here from Persia. And while we're talking about barbarians taking over Civs, it looks like St. Petersburg is fighting for its life as well. We've got a huge host of barbarians pushing into St. Petersburg, raising the lands, and it looks like they actually are going to start sieging it pretty soon. Deity barbarians are absolutely no joke. And yeah, I think that's it. St. Petersburg is literally going to fall to barbarians, the capital of Russia. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they'll do with it, because I think they just raise cities whenever they take it. But St. Petersburg is dead. It's dead for now, at least. They just keep assaulting it. Maybe it can't fall. I actually don't know. And another civ that's fighting for its life over here in the Carpathian Basin, we've got Matthias and his nation of Hungary, in the Civ of Hungary rather, absolutely fending off, fighting for their life. Though they only have to do it from one direction because the Carpathians are a really good defensive spot. So we'll see how this goes for them. But right now there is a lot of land that is just absolutely laying there fallow with nothing to be benefited by the Civ. But to their south, the Byzantine Empire continues to grow, taking over all of Greece minus one city over here. And that is pretty impressive. Though Sparta is not doing well, it is being taken over by this active volcano, and the whole area is just a mess right now. But Scotland continues to grow, pushing over into Ulster. Now we have the Ulster Scots in this timeline, confirmed canon in the Civ 6 universe. And meanwhile, over in Scythia, a drought is running a rampage through their nation, killing off 2 whole cities. So you hate to see that happen. And it looks like other Greece, the third Greece, the fourth Greece. There's a lot of Greeces. This one is dead as well. Thebes has been raised, actually, and it is the Byzantine Empire who stands alone, the one Greek nation to rule them all. Oh, poor Matthias. He lost like 3 cities to the Barbs, man, and he's about to lose this one here. They need to get walls ASAP. Watching through this, I think maybe I should have made it so there isn't any barbarians. There's barbarians in the area that are bigger than entire civs are, so maybe we'll get rid of them for the next one. Meanwhile, over in Brittany, we have English that have settled, and they are definitely going to be competing with France and the barbarians that are beating up on France, though they seem to have a bit of a reprieve at the time being. Though this hurricane over here is kind of tracing the outline of Scotland, looks like it might be going away for now. It looks like Peter is very sick of these goddamn barbarians on his city walls, so he built up a couple of defensive districts here. Maybe it'll help, maybe not, but they're still dealing with the aftermath of the first couple waves. Meanwhile, the next victim to go will be Persia. Absolutely gone. Loyalty, not quite there. Looks like they were split for the most part between these 2 guys down here in Sumeria as well as in Georgia. Somebody else who is being split in the process of it at least is Matthias up here. Lost a bunch of cities to barbarians and lost this city here to Byzantium. 2 cities left, not even 10 citizens in those cities. So Matthias probably going to go soon. But that's not all the expansion that's going on here. It looks like Philip over here has crossed the Straits of Gibraltar, pushed into northern Africa, fighting off some barbarians here. So it looks like Dido is not the only one on the continent anymore. And in terms of demographics, you can see that crop yield, land, and goods all going to Byzantium, so definitely the front runner at this point. Yeah, Sparta definitely not having a good time. These districts, basically the whole peninsula out here is just getting ravaged every couple of turns by this volcano, but they are managing some population, so it's not a total loss. Dido and the Phoenicians have crossed over the sea into Sicily, but this isn't quite the Sicily that I think that I've seen before. We have Carthage across from Ephesus here in southern Italy, so probably going to be a clash between the Romans and the Phoenicians in the near future, but only time is going to tell what changes that dynamic. And determined as they may be, it looks like the Russians are still trying to send out settlers, despite literally everybody, every man, woman, and child of Russia dying to barbarians. They are continuing to push, and I gotta respect that grind. Georgia has crossed over the Caucasus and now has a border with Scythia, so almost certainly going to lead to some friction from that. But looking at how big both of them are, that could be a pretty gnarly war. Over 250 turns in, and we have a big face-off. East Rome versus West Rome, fighting it out up here in northern Italy, as well as over here off the heel of Italy, right? And this AT gun is just shooting at these battleships, and they just keep shooting it back. So probably not going to go too well for them down here. Now, in the north of Italy is a whole different story. We have some tank corps, some AT corps, and it looks like this Ostia or whatever is probably going to go to the Byzantines. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. But just the absolute girth of these two nations blows my mind. And while on the topic of girthy nations, yes, Hungary has fallen to Poland, who is pretty girthy in their own right. They pushed all the way up into the Baltic, and it looks like Russia never really overcame the barbarians exactly. They have a lot of stuff on the borders here. They did settle this city up here, but very stagnant overall. Not like Robert the Bruce over here, settling 4 cities in Ireland and pushing all the way up into these islands off the coast of Norway. So they're doing pretty good. Of course, they're all like worthless cities with no workable tiles, but you know, they're still doing something. We have 4 cities just in Brittany, including this Channel Isle over here. So England is making it happen. I don't know how well they're really making it happen, but they are making it happen. Meanwhile, Portugal going up and hooking around here around Spain, but Spain decided that's okay, because what they're doing is they're pushing down into the south here. They did lose a city to barbarians, but this Valencia city is definitely well defended right now by machine guns. And meanwhile, Dido continues to collect land here in northern Africa. Not as much as I would have expected, considering the fact that nobody bothered her for the first like 200 turns. But again, it is a lot of desert land, so maybe it's not as useful, but she's still doing something. She's not dead yet, so she's doing better than some of the civs at the start. Now, it would definitely appear that the Western Romans pushed back the Eastern Romans and actually set up some colonies along the coast of the Balkans, as well as down the entirety of Italy, looking incredibly good just across from Carthage, as well as another city settled by Phoenicia over here on Sardinia. But the Byzantines are also pushing across Anatolia, and they have met up with Samaria, so probably a little bit of fighting going on here. It looks like they actually are fighting at the moment with Byzantium's giant death robot. Kind of scary, honestly. Poor Germany is not feeling too good. They have lost Salzburg as well as Heidelberg, one to the Poles and then one to the Gauls. Probably not going to last too much longer, though you have to respect Aachen with 20 population. It's pretty good. Now, finally, we can settle the debate of the superior Nordic country. It is definitely Sweden. Stettin here has been settled in Denmark, and it doesn't look like the Norwegians are doing that good. They cut off the Swedes in the north, but then the Swedes have pushed over into Finland. It's a little late at this point for that, so I don't think that these cities are really going to make a huge difference in the long term. And now Iceland is split, half Norwegian, half Scottish. So that's a thing. Though I'm not sure how I feel about this city here being stuck right in between 2 massive volcanoes. Probably not going to go too well for them, but so far doing okay with 11 population. Spain continuing to invest in North Africa, though they are just about touching tips over here with Dido. And Dido definitely has an army. I don't know how big of an army, but she's got one. And looks like they might clash eventually. So I don't know if I would ever want to run into these machine guns. My goodness, that is a lot of machine guns. And it actually looks like England decided to choose violence and actually kick the Scots, for the most part, out of Ireland. And damn, not only Ireland, but also France and Germany. Germany and Gaul are just gone, completely gone. Meanwhile, it looks like France has been exiled to the south of France and Catalonia. And I don't really know how you would describe this. Some may say the Kiel Canal, but I think this is caused by flooding. Denmark has been cut off, and now this Jutland area is an island as well, joining up with the rest of Denmark. Meanwhile, the Roman Empire investing in that green energy. No clean coal here, just renewable wind. They've even got their giant death robots to patrol their wind fields, so, you know, nobody vandalizes them or anything like that. Sadly, I don't think Dido is going to make it out of this one alive, and there it goes. Tyre falls to Byzantium, and probably the first of many dominoes to fall for Dido's empire, sprawling over North Africa, but pretty low population cities for the most part. Now, I ended up letting it go about an extra 300 turns over 500, so we're a little into the 800s, and things are looking pretty dang weird. The map is split pretty evenly between basically every civ that existed in the last time we looked. In fact, I don't think anybody got wiped out, and if anything, borders just got more kind of solid in their specific area. Though I do think that Eleanor ended up finishing off France. I'm pretty sure Catherine of France got finished off down here. But not really any surprise to me, at least. Eleanor wins military front. There is absolutely nobody who can compete with this. Just look at all of these nuclear submarine armadas. All of these are 3 stars. So yeah, there is a lot of naval prowess going to England here. The Scots ended up getting kicked out of Iceland, which is a bummer, honestly, but they make up for that by taking over the northern borders of Norway. So that's a thing. They even have a couple of cities up here in northern Russia, which is awesome. Also in northern Russia is Norway, a lot of Norway. And Russia seemingly did end up pushing back the barbarians, and they made a bit of a march to the east, but they definitely got cut off by Scythia. Scythia didn't really do a whole lot. It looks like there's actually a pretty gnarly war, at least one that was going on recently, and Scythia not doing well in this area. Basil ended up pulling through, doing pretty well for himself. Very solid, like, regional power. And then over here, we have the Eastern Roman Empire also looking extremely good. Portugal lost a city or 2 up here, but they maintained their kind of kernel of cities that they had over here on the western portion, so I respect that. Shout out Madrid with a whopping 7 population. Very nice, Spain. And Dido with the copious amounts of ski resorts here in North Africa. You'll love to see it. And as I said, it's no surprise, Eleanor wins. Population, soldiers, crop yield, GDP, land, absolutely just steamrolling. Obviously the highest score, but taking a look at domination, almost winning that regard as well. 5 capitals captured compared to Basil with 5 of their own, mostly over in Greece. Though you can't count on Gilgamesh, he did take over the Persian Empire. But I really enjoyed this. I'm very excited to make more Civ content on the channel. If you have a suggestion of a Civ map that you would like to see, make sure you let me know. If there are tweaks that you would like to see me make to kind of the recording style, make sure you let me know in the comments as well. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel, because they're going to be missing out on a ton of content like this if you don't subscribe, and ding that bell. Special thanks to ALS Gamer, Legrand Puba, Chio, Josh Kopczynski, Adrian Rhino, Blonde Damon, Cannon Fodder, and many more. If you want to see your name here and early access to these videos, check out the join button below the video or the Patreon linked in the description.